Hi, boys and girls. It's time for another story. And our story today is called The Valentine Box. Mary. She had gone into the classroom just to get her list of the kids in her class to make her Valentines out from. Well, just then, a boy, a new boy to their class, he came into the classroom and he looked this way and he looked that way. He looked out the window. He looked toward the door. And when he didn't see anybody, he didn't see Mary. And Mary thought, oh, look at him. His hair's all scraggly. It's plastered to his forehead. His shoes are old and they squeak. Well, she waited. She wanted to see why he was there. It seemed unusual that he should be there. Well, as she was watching, Mary thought to herself, I can't believe this. Look what he's doing. And there on a table in the classroom was 30 Valentine's boxes, all in a row. And on the end was Scotty's Valentine box. He went over to his box and he looked around and he lifted the lid and he looked inside. There was nothing in there. Nothing. It was the day before Valentine's, and there was nothing in that box. Scotty, he looked around again. Then he went over to that row of boxes, and he lifted the lids off of several of them, and he stuck his hand in, and he pulled out a Valentine till he had a whole fistful of Valentines. Then he went to the other end of the table. He lifted the lid off of his box, and he shoved all those Valentines inside. And then, when he had looked in that box, his face was so sad. But when he put all those Valentines in it, he looked in there and he grinned. Then he put the lid on it and he looked this way and he looked that way. There was nobody coming. So he snuck out of the room. Mary, she thought, since there was nobody there, she snuck over to those Valentine boxes. And she peeked inside of Scotty's box. And there lay 13 Valentines addressed to other people. And she thought, oh, he's such a greedy boy. But then she got thinking about it. She thought, the week before, one of her best friends had gotten mad at Mary, and she was having a birthday party, and she didn't even invite Mary. And Mary remembered how bad she felt. And then she thought about Tom. Now, Tom was the head of the baseball team at school, and he wouldn't let her play on the baseball team because he said she was just a girl. But Mary, she knew that she could catch more balls than he could, and she could hit more home runs. And she thought, maybe that's how Scotty's feeling. Well, then she thought of something else. Scotty, he was a pest. Matter of fact, every day he would throw snowballs at the girls and he would chase them all over the playground and he would pester the boys. He would just go on and on and on. And he was so annoying that nobody liked him. And Mary actually thought, I wished his dad would just pack up his whole family and take him back where they came from. But she knew that wasn't going to happen. They were here to stay. Well, then she got to thinking about other things. You know, the week before, Mrs. Thompson, their teacher, had asked each child to bring a shoebox to school, and they were going to make Valentines boxes. Well, Mary, she had cut out red, white hearts. She had wrapped her box in red crepe paper and some white crepe paper, and she glued those beautiful hearts strategically all over her box. And she'd even gotten some paper doilies and put under the hearts to make them fancier. Well, her box was lovely. And the twins, Candy and Brandy, they had put red ribbons on theirs. And one of the boys had even gotten those little bitty hearts, you know, the little candy hearts that have words on them, though that say things like, be mine, gross, silly things, she thought. But when the day had come to bring those boxes, Scotty hadn't brought a shoebox. Well, Miss Thompson, she had brought extras, so she gave one to Scotty, and you wouldn't believe what he did with it. He cut out hearts out of newspapers, and then he took his crayons and he went all over them till they were bright red. Then he gooed up the whole sides and the top of that box with his Elmer's glue. And then he had taken all those hearts that he had cut out and colored red out of the newspaper, and he glued them all over his shoebox. Matter of fact, he put so many hearts on there that you couldn't see where one heart started and another one ended. It was a mess, Mary thought. Yes, it was a mess. But she got an idea. She had carefully hid herself in that classroom, so Scotty hadn't seen her. And tonight was the night she was going to go to the store and buy store-bought Valentines this year. She'd always made her own, but this year she wanted the ones with little lollipops on the side to give to everybody. Well, she rushed home and she got out her babysitting money, and she went and she shook her piggy bank and she got out all the money in that, and she rushed to the store and she bought those Valentines with the lollipops on them. But when she got home, she did something else. She had another idea. She talked to her mother about it. And you know, that's a really good thing to discuss things with your mom. And she told her mom about what she had seen. And she said, Mom, I have an idea. I bought all these Valentines, and I have my list of all the kids in my classroom. And she sat down and she took those Valentines and she addressed every single one of them. You know where it says to on the Valentine? She put Scotty's name on every single one of them. Then, when it said from down on the bottom of the Valentine, she wrote all the different kids' names. And even some of them, she wrote things like, guess who, or secret admirer. And then she asked her mom to help her make her Valentines. So they got out paper and lace and all sorts of pretty things. And she made Valentines for all the other kids. Plus, she made some for Scotty. She asked her dad to bring her to school early the next morning, which he was glad to do on his way to work. She got there even before the teacher was there, and she rushed in. And she opened Scotty's box, and she lifted out all those stolen Valentines that said that they were for other people. And in that box, she put 30 Valentines from all the kids in the classroom. And then she put in all those homemade Valentines. All of them were addressed to Scotty. And she shut his box, and she quickly put all those other Valentines, the ones that he had stolen out of the boxes, back in the appropriate boxes. And then she went to her desk. Well, no one was the wiser that day. When the Valentine boxes that had each child's name on them were passed out, all of them oohed and awed about the Valentines that were inside. But it was nothing like Scotty's face when he opened that box and he saw all those Valentines. His little freckled face, he looked at them in awe, and then his face became a big, huge smile, and each one he took out that said to Scotty on them, that face got happier and happier. And Mary, in her throat, she got a happy lump. She thought she was going to cry. She was so happy. And you know, when she had seen that there was nothing in Scotty's box that was meant for Scotty, she had had another kind of lump, a sad lump in her throat, but now she was happy. And you know, she never told Scotty what she had done, but a change came over Scotty. Matter of fact, Tom, the head of the baseball team, he discovered that Scotty had a really good pitching arm. And he asked Scotty to be on his team. And, you know, the other thing that happened, Scotty no longer threw snowballs at the girls and chased them around. He didn't annoy the boys. Now, Mary said, you know, I'm not saying that he's perfect, because nobody there was, none of the kids. But there was a change in Scotty, and from then on, they got to see the real Scotty. Boys and girls, sometimes people act out because they're sad, because they're lonely, because they have no friends. And do you know who can fix that? You and I, with the help of Jesus. Thank you, boys and girls, and I'll see you next week. Bye-bye now.